Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Bradley. I hope you all are well. I sure miss all of you. School is just not the same without you there, but know that we're thinking about you all the time and sending you our good wishes, and we're working hard to get everything online for you, and we're planning for when we're all together again soon. I was in my room yesterday and looking at my bookshelf and just wishing one of you would pop in to talk to me about a book that we had read, or maybe one that you were reading by yourself, or maybe one that you were reading with a partner. I sure hope that you're reading still every day. You know how important that is. Books really teach us, especially in times like this when we're alone. Books can really help us and teach us how to be better people. You guys already knew that. But I was looking on my shelf and thinking, what would be a good book for me to read during this time when we're all together? And I came across this old book that I'd had on my shelf that I know I probably have not read to any of you. It's an old favorite. It's called MissRumphius, and it's written by Barbara Cooney. And some of you may know Barbara Cooney's work. We have read the book Rocks a Box, and I think in some classes. But in this book, Barbara Cooney writes about an old woman, MissRumphius. But she starts out as a little girl, like many of you, and it goes over her life. It's over the course of her whole long life. So the time in this is pretty important, and how Barbara uses time to move the story forward. But I was thinking we could learn a lot from MissRumphius. Actually, when she's a little girl, she's called Alice. MissRumphius. Oh, and these, you'll need to know this. These flowers, do you see them? They're purple and blue and a little rose gold. They're called lupines. I don't think we have them here, but I'm going to need to investigate that. To St. Nicholas, patron saint of children, sailors, and maidens. And here she is. The lupine lady lives in a small house overlooking the sea. In between the rocks around her house grow blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. The lupine lady is little and old, but she has not always been that way. I know. She's my great aunt, and she told me so. Now here is from long ago. Once upon a time, she was a little girl named Alice who lived in a city by the sea. From the front stoop, she could see the wharfs and the bristling masts of tall ships. Many years ago, her grandfather had come to America on a large sailing ship. And there she is on her stoop, and the wharf, and the tall sailing ships. Making sure you all can see. Now she worked in the shop at the bottom of the house. Now he worked in the shop at the bottom of the house, making figureheads for the prows of ships and carving Indians out of wood to put in the front of cigar stores. For Alice's grandfather was an artist. He painted pictures, too, of sailing ships and places across the sea. When he was very busy, Alice helped him put in the skies. Do you see her making the skies beautiful? She's a painter. And here are the figures on the front of the ships and the Indians outside of the cigar stores. In the evening, Alice sat on her grandfather's knee and listened to his stories of faraway places. When he had finished, Alice would say, "When I grow up, I too will go to faraway places, and when I grow old, I too will live beside the sea." "That's all very well, little Alice," said her grandfather, "but there's a third thing you must do." "What's that?" asked Alice. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. "All right," said Alice. But she did not know what that could be. I'm inferring here, I'm thinking, Alice is like many of you. Like, she knows that many times wisdom comes with age, and she knows that it's important to listen to those wise people in our lives. I hope you're listening to your grandparents, like Alice. "You must do something to make the world more beautiful," said her grandfather. "All right," said Alice, but she did not know what that would be. In the meantime, Alice got up and washed her face and ate porridge for breakfast. She went to school and came home and did her homework. And pretty soon she was grown up. Wow, that was fast, Barbacoonie. Look, she's a little girl. And now she's a grown woman. Then my great Aunt Alice set out to do 3 things that she had told her grandfather she was going to do. She left home. She went to live in another city far from the sea and the salt air. There she worked in a library, dusting books and keeping them from getting mixed up, and helping people find the ones they wanted. Some of the books told her about faraway places. People called her MissRumphius now. And there she is, helping people find books. Sometimes she went to the conservatory in the middle of the park. When she stepped inside on a wintry day, the warm, moist air wrapped herself around her, and the sweet smell of jasmine filled her nose. "This is almost like a tropical isle," said MissRumphius, "but not quite. I think this is the jasmine. It's a white little flower. And here is the conservatory, the outside on a wintry day." So MissRumphius went to a real tropical island where people kept cockatoos and monkeys as pets. She walked along beaches, picking up beautiful shells. One day she met the Bapa Raja, king of a fishing village. "You must be tired," he said. "Come into my house and rest." So MissRumphius went in and met the Bapa Raja's wife. The Bapa Raja himself fetched a green coconut and cut a slice off the top so that MissRumphius could drink the coconut water inside. Before she left, the Bapa Raja gave her a beautiful mother-of-pearl shell on which she had painted a bird of paradise and the words, "You will remain in my heart." "You will always remain in mine too," said MissRumphius. I love those words. Beautiful words. "You will remain in my heart. You will always remain in mine too," said MissRumphius. "You will remain in my heart." My great aunt Miss Alice Rumphius climbed tall mountains where the snow never melted. Here's the tall mountains. And she went through jungles and across deserts. She saw lions playing with kangaroos, jumping, and everywhere she made friends she would never forget. Finally, she came to the land of the lotus eaters, and there, getting off a camel, she hurt her back. She's quite adventurous, isn't she? Here she is on the camel. "What a foolish thing to do," said MissRumphius. "Well, I certainly have seen faraway places. Maybe it's time for me to find my place by the sea." Her second thing. And it was. And she did. This is really a beautiful place by the sea. Do you see her house there? And the sea. It looks quite different from our beach, doesn't it? The Gulf of Mexico. It's very rocky. And the mountains. You see the mountains? And it's almost like a cliff where it just goes deep into the ocean. The sea. It's not like the Gulf of Mexico where we have wide beaches and plenty of room to walk and dig and make sandcastles. From the porch of her new house, here, I'll turn it so you can see. From the porch of her new house, MissRumphius watched the sun come up, and she watched it cross the heavens and sparkle on the water, and she saw it set in glory in the evening. I think I'll read that again. More of Barbara's beautiful words. From the front porch of her new house, MissRumphius watched the sun come up. She watched it cross the heavens and sparkle on the water, and she saw it set in glory in the evening. That's a beautiful way to describe a day, don't you think? She watched the sun come up, She watched across the heavens and sparkle in the water, and she saw it set in glory in the evening. She started a little garden among the rocks that surrounded her house, and she planted a few flower seeds in the stony ground. MissRumphius was almost perfectly happy. "But there's still one thing I have to do," she said. "I have to do something to make the world more beautiful." "But what?" "The world is already pretty nice," she thought, looking over the ocean. Pretty nice, isn't it? Now she's very old. Time is moving quickly. The next spring, MissRumphius was not very well. Her back was bothering her again, and she had to stay in bed most of the time. The flowers she had planted the summer before had come up and bloomed in spite of the stony ground, and she could see from her bedroom window, blue and purple and rose-colored. "Lupine," said MissRumphius with satisfaction. "I have always loved lupines the best. I wish I could plant more seeds this summer so that I could have still more flowers next year." But she was not able to. There's a little house by the sea in the wintertime. After a hard winter, spring came. MissRumphius was feeling much better. Now she could take walks again. And one afternoon, she started to go up and over the hill that she had not seen in a long time. "I don't believe my eyes," she cried when she got to the hill. For there, on the other side of the hill, was a large patch of blue and purple and rose-colored lupines. Do you see them? I don't believe my eyes," she cried when she got to the top. For there, on the other side of the hill, was a large patch of blue and purple and rose-colored lupines. "It was the wind," she said as she knelt in delight. "It was the wind that brought the seeds from my garden here, and the birds must have helped." Then MissRumphius had a wonderful idea. Look, do you see her cottage? Oh, it's here. So all of you know how that the wind and the birds helped to spread seeds that would go all the way to this patch on the other side of the hill. You all know how that works. And you're the kind of kids that really are like MissRumphius, that you pay attention to nature and all its beauty and all the things that happen. And here she is at her table with her little cat. She hurried home and got out her seed catalogs, and she sent off to the very best seed house for 5 bushels of lupine seed. All that summer, MissRumphius, her pockets full of seeds, wandered over fields and headlands, sowing lupines. She scattered seeds along the highways and down the country lanes, and she flung handfuls of them around the schoolhouse and the back of the church. She tossed them into hollows and along stone walls. Her back didn't hurt anymore at all. Now, some people called her that crazy old lady. Oh, look at her. In her pockets. It's almost as if she's scattering beauty and goodness and kindness. Scattering them like seeds. Look at how she's walking with her head up high. She knows she's doing good. The next spring, this is a beautiful page. The next spring, there were lupines everywhere. Do you want to see? Look. Fields and hillsides were covered with blue and purple and rose-colored flowers. They bloomed along the highways and down the lanes. Bright patches lay around the schoolhouse, just where she had scattered those seeds of goodness. And the back of the church, down in the hollows and along the stone walls, grew beautiful flowers. MissRumphius had done the third and the most difficult thing of all. she is now. She's very old. My great Aunt Alice, MissRumphius, is very old. Her hair is very white, and every year there are more and more lupines. Now they call her the Lupine Lady. Sometimes my friends stand with me outside her gate, curious to see the old lady who planted the fields of lupines. Here she is with her friends. They think that she is the oldest woman in the world. Often she tells us stories of faraway places. And here she is with the friends, telling them stories. When I grow up, I tell her, I too will go to faraway places and come home to live by the sea. That's all very well, little Alice, says my aunt. But there's a third thing that you must do. What's that, I ask. You must do something to make the world more beautiful. All right, I say. But I don't know yet what that will be. And here's little Alice with her friends gathering the lupines from the seeds that her great aunt scattered. So I've been thinking about MissRumphius and about little Alice, and when MissRumphius was a little Alice, and how they listened and they knew that it was part of what they were supposed to do with their life was to make the world beautiful. And I know we can't always go and scatter seeds, but we can do things just in our homes and in our yards if we can get out and think about how can we make the world more beautiful. And I wish we were together, and I wish that you could tell me all the things that you're thinking right now of how you could make the world better. But maybe together we could just start doing our little part of what can we do to make the world more beautiful and more better right now, and this time when we're separated. And when we're back together, we can talk about it, or you could always call me at school or send me an email. I can't wait to hear what you all are doing to make the world more beautiful. I miss you. See you soon.